All right, everybody. Super excited to be here today doing a live interview with Jamie. Fun fact, my high ticket affiliate marketing journey actually started after a call with Jamie. Prior to that, I struggled online and really chased low ticket products. So super excited to have him here today. And I will Are you there?
What's going on, man? Yeah, massive lag in the feed, so I'm not sure if you'd introduced me or not, but welcome. I mean, thank you for having me, I should say.
Yeah, hopefully the internet doesn't give us too much troubles. Sorry for everybody who is, I know I totally had a lapse in thought. I totally have been promoting this for tomorrow for the last couple days. So if you're here, sorry if you made it, or if you're watching the replay, I totally didn't account for the time difference.
Sorry, they'll get a super fun replay to watch anyway. That's the main thing.
Right? They'll all come tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, we got one user on. There we go. Awesome.
There we go. So yeah, I appreciate you taking the time, coming in here and jumping on here with us. If you just want to tell everyone a little bit about, how you came into the high ticket affiliate marketing space.
Yeah, good question, man. So thanks very much for having me first and foremost. It's a pleasure to be here, and got a badass community here, which is really cool. And obviously we just miscalculated the time slightly, but we're here. That's the main thing, right? So yeah, my journey actually starts back, not specifically affiliate marketing, but back in 1997. So my mom actually set up an e-commerce store. This is kind of before Google came around, like it was way back in the day, and taught herself to code, taught herself how to basically market on the internet. And I think I was 17 at the time when that kicked off. So sort of grew up around the digital space, and actually worked full time in her business at some point as well when I was, I think late teens, early 20s, something like that. Feels like a lifetime to go now. I'm nearly 40. So yeah, let's say 20 plus years ago. Wow. Anyway, so fast forward the clock a little bit. In 2011, I got into affiliate marketing, and I was working in finance at the time. Really thought I could just take what I was doing in my offline job online. Didn't quite transpire the way that I thought. Tried literally everything under the sun, blogging. Back when fan pages were a big thing on Facebook, I had a whole, literally 30 or 40 of those things, trying to boost those up. You name it. I've written books on Kindle. I've got all sorts of little weird and wonderful things out there. Tried CPA marketing about a dozen times, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, had some financial setbacks, went bankrupt in 2015 due to a whole plethora of reasons. And then finally, after, one of the other many things I did is I set up e-commerce stores. So taught myself how to run ads, or actually, no, I got some help, but I learned how to run ads. And using that skill, I was able to set up my own agency, which I managed to leave the workforce in 2017. And so the leaving the workforce thing was a dream come true for me. That was something that I'd wanted since I was very, very small. And the reality was slightly different than the expectation. And so circa late 2018, one of the agencies I was doing a lot of work for at the time, they brought all their marketing in-house, which is, it's fine, it's just part of business. But the other thing was that they ran into financial troubles, and they stopped paying the creditors, basically. And so just on the verge of coming into the Christmas season, I was left without any income whatsoever. And so yet again, I found myself in financial hardships. And so 2019, I was like, okay, I need to take my income into my own hands. Like, this is ridiculous that I'm relying on, chasing invoices, all that sort of stuff. So is Nate there? Am I still live? Oh gosh, this is so confusing. Let's assume for argument's sake that the live is still live, and I'll just keep talking. Anyway, so 2019, I bridged from agency over to affiliate marketing stuff. And what happened was I was chasing low ticket products. So for anyone that's just jumped on, I don't know what's happened, but Nate seems to have disappeared. I don't actually know if I'm even on this live anymore. I think Nate's having some extreme internet issues. So maybe it's just me. Maybe I just talk for an hour, see how it goes, right? So anyway, was doing affiliate marketing, was chasing low ticket products, doing what I thought was the right pathway to take. And oh, he's back. This guy, seriously. And anyway, yeah, basically I met my mentor, who later become my business partner, Jacob Karras, in early 2019. And so interestingly enough, I had been in a sales environment offline for many, many years, and I'd sold all sorts of stuff from education products through to finance, through to insurance, through to event space. Like it was just, I'd sold a lot of stuff, put it that way. And it never really dawned on me that I could take the skills that I'd built up over the years and just kind of transfer that online. And once I sort of realized that all this is like sales and marketing, which I've been kind of studying for years anyway, I was like, oh man, this is kind of crazy. So after getting a big metaphorical slap from Jacob saying, look, you're doing way too much stuff. You need to simplify your business. You're working hard, but you're kind of all scattered. Like just focus on a couple of core elements of your business. I was like, oh, okay, I'll try that. And then basically within 7 days of me implementing what he had taught me, I ended up having my first $1,000 day online. And I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. And that was literally a life-changing moment for me, because I prior to that, I had $84 in my bank, and all of a sudden I got 1,000, which is amazing. So the very next day I had a second day where I made $1,000. So it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. And end of that month, I ended up having my first 10K month, or it was like 9,980 or something like that. But anyway, closing, let's round it up, right? So first 10K month, and then needless to say, things have kind of blown up ever since then. But I became coach for Super Affiliate Accelerator based on, I guess, my history and the fact I've been doing this stuff for years and have a little bit of knowledge on some stuff. And yeah, it's been a fun ride, very fun ride. So that's like the succinct version of it, at least anyway.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, your story and your journey, especially because I've totally I got kicked out of the live, so you just continue to.
Yeah. I was talking smack about you the whole time when you were gone. So I can't believe this guy. Get me on the live and then disappear.
So yeah, that's super awesome. I like that, your story. I know a little bit about, so even the part that I did miss. That's an absolutely awesome testament to like your journey. You continue to put in effort, and then you kind of just came into this place with Jacob Karras and that whole team. And I mean, that's absolutely awesome. What has it been like going from like kind of being on your own and, forging your own path to working with someone who's like, absolutely crushed into.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Funnily enough, so Jacob, he happened to be in Melbourne over this last weekend, and we caught up, and we're actually discussing this very point, because probably a little bit different, for us, I guess, because now we're sort of catch up pretty often and things like that. But back when I first met him, what prompted me to reach out to him was because I've been doing this for so long. It's very isolating. There's not many people I'm going to say probably Australia in general, that are getting his type of results. In fact, I'd say it's probably pretty isolated. Right. And so I'd been trying for so long. I was like, I don't know what's not working, because I don't know what I don't know. Turns out I did know a lot of stuff after all. I just didn't know that I knew a lot of stuff. But when he happened to be flying down to Melbourne, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take a risk and reach out to him. And so I sent him a message. I'd seen him online for quite a while, and I thought, who's this cocky young dude who's bloody, just come out of nowhere and doing all this stuff, and here I am. I've been doing this for ages and nothing's working. And so I just reached out to him and said, hey man, look, it's like it's a very isolating business. Sometimes you right. connect with people online, which is amazing, and Zoom calls, all that sort of stuff. But the truth of the matter is, it's so much different than the traditional work environment, where you can lean over to your colleague and say, hey, how do I send an email? I've forgotten how. So it was a powerful experience for me, just to actually even meet someone that's doing the stuff that I wanted to do. And we got along pretty well, but he kind of disappeared for a bunch of months, and I didn't really see him for often after that, or hear from him, I should say, until later on in maybe August, September in 2019. And then we were sort of doing some stuff. He's giving me some advice on things, and then like I say, it was kind of, I think towards the end of October, he's like, "Hey, I've got this idea, and you and I get along pretty well, and together with Chris Donnelly as well. You want to collaborate on something?" I'm like, "Yeah, anything, like whatever, it's fine. Let's do it. I don't care what it is."
You're like, "Of course."
Yeah, you're like, let me think about it. Actually, in all truth, I did have to think about it, because it had been numerous times where I'd been kind of not approached, but like things with a potential mentor seemed to gain momentum and gain traction, and then it never transpired. And so I did have my hesitancies, but I'm glad I just went, you know what, like, this dude seems a little bit more legit, so let's just roll with it, see what happens.
Right, that's super awesome.
Yeah,
so that's definitely awesome, you know, because that's like, so for anyone that doesn't know, you're like full on the team, you know, like if you're integrated into the program and stuff like that. So that's like, you know, especially if you get into like the super affiliate intensive, that you're in there, you know, that's the training. As I mentioned, that's like where my high ticket journey started, was pretty much after a Zoom call with you. So
I remember that.
So, what would you, so I know you did mention that you run an agency, you know, obviously with agencies, it's a lot of paid ads. So how does that work? Because, you know, do you do a lot of organic and paid ads? What would you recommend for someone who's starting or looking to really get going? Because you're kind of diverse in your digital marketing.
So I'd suggest to do the polar opposite of what I did. And this is the journey, and I think the reason why it took me so long to make everything kind of click into place is because what tends to happen, and I'm sure a lot of people will be able to relate to this, it's where, you know, I need to make money online. How to make money online? There's like 2.7 billion results. So you're like, I'm going to have to filter through those a little bit first to see if there's something in there. And then eventually you stumble upon affiliate marketing, and you get bombarded with ads, which is cool. But the problem is that the way that it usually gets sold, and so the way that it got sold to me originally was, you know, build a blog, and that's pretty much the only legitimate way to build an asset. Like, okay, cool. So I tried that, and I think blogging is amazing. Even in 2021, I think that what I had was a complete lack of training and experience going back to 2011. And I'm pretty sure that had I pursued it even further, I could have made it work. I gave up. Right. I pivoted, right? So anyway, what gets sold though is that you get told that you need a funnel, and you get told that you need autoresponders and maybe run some ads, and you need traffic and all that sort of stuff. And so what tends to happen for most people is that most of us are still thinking about websites. And so if we start thinking about funnels, that's a whole new language pattern we've got to start thinking about.
Right.
And then you've got the copy. And so then you've got to learn a bit of copywriting and color schemes and the congruence of the funnel, and then gluing together like an autoresponder sequence on the back end. And then you're like, cool, okay, well, I just spent 4 months learning all this stuff, and it's cool, like it's fun, I love, you know, the thing, but where's the cash? Is there anywhere? So then there's bolt-on things that get sold, which are things like soul ads, which I think are the work of the devil. Hate soul ads, but you know, you get sold the idea, well, easy traffic, okay, I'll buy a few clicks. Probably doesn't. Maybe it does on occasion. In the 10 years I've been doing this, I've met 3 people that have actually made money through consistently buying solo ads. So that's why I'm not a massive fan of them, and I've spent a ton of cash on them as well over the years. But anyway, so then most people then start looking at Facebook ads, and it's beautiful in terms of what you can achieve from a targeting perspective, but they like to smite you down at short notice without any notice at all. And so then all of a sudden you've got this thing where you're like, okay, cool, I think I've got a funnel, but I still have no idea if it actually works or converts. And you know, I've got 30 days worth of email sequences, blah, 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 but does anything actually convert? And so because of that inherent complexity in people's business, after they've finished the funnel, after they've finished the autorespond, after they've learned paid ads, then they're still like, they wake up in the morning going, well, what do I do? Which lever do I pull in my business to spit more money out the other side? And so I would encourage everyone to completely disregard that, because I'm not saying it's wrong, and I'm not saying that you don't need funnels at some stage. I'm not saying that you don't need an autoresponder sequence at some stage, but I think when you're learning, if you can learn the fundamentals of why people buy something, of how to sell some stuff, of how to market yourself, how to market your brand, those things there are based on human psychology. And although we may evolve very slowly from that stuff. It's not going to change in any quick succession. And so that stuff there is like, you can take that, and it's not platform specific. It's, you know, all that sort of stuff. And if you learn, like for me, I realized when I was able to take a very small audience, which was not something I'd properly monetized before, and I was able to give them value in the form of the things that I was learning and documenting my journey and all that sort of stuff. And then basically able to sell them stuff that I knew I felt in my heart of hearts was going to benefit them. And I realized how in a minute, there was nothing there before. And I took a social media platform and I created an audience, and then I sold to that audience and I monetized it. That's like, it was so powerful. And so then, of course, it makes sense that you think, okay, I'm going to start adding these other layers to my business now. So you've got the investment back because you're starting to get some income. Start adding a funnel, and then it's just going to be a lot more congruent because you understand the buying process. You understand how to extract funds out of your audience. You understand, like, it's okay if something doesn't work. Like if your funnel's not converting, you just fix it up. We try a new angle. Like you've got more confidence in your ability to extract cash flow from your audience. So from there, of course, once you do start adding those layers, it's a lot more linear. It's like the thing that I often quote is something called Occam's razor, and it's this principle that the simplest answer is more often the best. And so if you can start with that, it just makes a lot more sense when you add those layers to it. So anyone that is looking at getting into ads, yep, absolutely. I think they are incredible. I'm getting into YouTube ads at the moment, but you know, if you don't know how to sell stuff, then that's kind of completely pointless, in my opinion. You end up just blowing a ton of cash. And if you got big budgets for it, then, you know, go nuts. That's completely fine, of course, as well.
But I definitely appreciate that advice for sure, because I feel like that's I mean, super important. I mean, that's like pretty much my journey when I first started. I dumped, you know, my life savings into Facebook ads and had no understanding or even idea of how it all worked, you know, and I even solo ads, Facebook ads, you know, but not even really understanding or realizing that there's like a conversion process and like as you're actually the psychology of everything. So I think that's super important, is mastering or even understanding all of that before you dive into these other complex
and
methods.
A lot of the time people they make the false assumption that it must be the traffic source. The reason why this isn't converted, the reason why I'm not making money, it must be the traffic source. So where's the good traffic? I need some good traffic, man. Like it gets sold on a street corner or something like that. You know, 2 hits of traffic, thanks. And like, God, don't know where that came. It's too early in the morning. It's Monday morning for me. So anyway, yeah. So I think that's a huge disconnect. But then what happens is when you add those layers, you start adding a little bit of like adds to what you're already doing. Then it kind of ramps things up a lot easier. Yeah, in my opinion, I prefer organic as well. I think that you have a degree of control over things. Like I say, Google, as in Google, YouTube, and all that sort of stuff, are a little bit more lenient, but Facebook's an absolute nightmare. Like like I say, I run an agency. I had entire business managers with like 30, 40 ad accounts just shut down for no reason. Like there's no, like I literally, after that happened, I appealed. I then read through the terms and conditions. I went through every single ad that I had. Like there was nothing obvious in my opinion that would, you know, mean a shutdown. But again, they wouldn't, there's not like they're going to go, well, the reason why you've done that is because that, you know, so it was a nightmare. And then all of a sudden you lost your traffic source. So yeah, anyway.
Right. And I think that's a very important one too. I'll just piggyback on that. And so like, what's your opinion on diversifying? So I know a lot of people, when they first start, they recommend relying on one traffic source. But as you just mentioned, like if you're relying solely on Facebook, if your ad accounts get shut down, you're basically like restarting.
Yes. Yep. That has happened to me. I've had maybe 7 shutdowns of my personal account. No idea why. It's been mind-numbingly frustrating. Sometimes it's gone for like 48 hours. Sometimes it's just a day. I have to submit verification and ID and stuff like that. And it's not a nice experience. You know, like you feel very vulnerable because all of a sudden you think, well, is that, like if that disappears, it's a big chunk of my business. Like the truth of the matter is that I now feel confident enough to know that I can build an audience on another platform. And even though the process would suck, because I'm starting from zero again, but like I could do it. Like it would be whatever. So the answer to that, in my opinion, is twofold. So first one is you need to remain focused to start with, because the more scattered you are in your energy, the less stuff you're actually going to do. And so even though you think that you're doing more stuff is better, I can assure you from many years of experience that focusing on a couple of tasks and one platform, one product to start with, and then of course you add those layers, because like I say, once you understand the buying process and how to get in front of people, how to communicate, how to write content, it's just a lot easier to then go, okay, cool, well now I'm going to start an Instagram page and blow that up instead. It's just way easier. Having said that, like I say, there is going to expose vulnerabilities in your business, and one of the, if you want a proper business, then you do need to mitigate some of those vulnerabilities. And literally the one true traffic source that you genuinely own is your email list. That's pretty much the one thing that you do own. But even then, there's still vulnerabilities. I've heard of people having 100,000 subscribers that they hadn't backed up, and then the autoresponder company just going, your account's done, you can't access your emails anymore. So I have heard of that as well. So make sure you're backing up. But at some point, you do want to start adding those assets into place, and that's where the sustainable business is going to come from. But again, nothing's going to start without cutting your teeth on creating that active income first. Then you can start leveraging those results to build that momentum, take it to another platform if you need to, start building out your email autoresponders. One of the kind of futurizations I've got at the moment with my business is, as much as I love personal branding, as much as I love being able to help people out, there's also going to come a time when that's not feasible for me anymore. It's going to be too labor intensive. And so at this stage, it's when you start looking at building out other assets that can sustain you, basically.
Right.
So whether that is YouTube channel or building out an email list, things like that, there's a lot of options. So that's kind of how things are going to be angled over the next sort of 3-ish years for me anyway.
Yeah, so diversifying and stuff like that. And I like how you mentioned that's what I feel like a lot of people get the impression is like, you said once you get something established and you're building, so you have something built on a singular platform, you can of course move them somewhere else. You can push them to a YouTube channel. You can push them to your email list. It's not like you're starting over every time. So just having like that security blanket can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you think about all the, so Frank Kern's a really good example, because he's been around since, the day, I think 1999, he kicked off his internet marketing career. And so he's sold, everything to everyone basically. And he's such a beast, like he's so good as well. But if you think about, as an example, he started a YouTube channel a couple of years back, and I don't know what his subscriber base is now, but it's because he's Frank Kern that he's been able to leverage his name to get people to subscribe to his channel. And then the more he's out there, the more people kind of go and find him type thing. And it's probably, I would suspect he's probably not putting a whole bunch of effort into doing like tons of keyword research. Like he's not looking to, treating his YouTube channel as a business. I think he's just leveraging his brand to grow that. But, it has a flow-on effect. You've got a big email list. You use that to grow your other assets. You build a group in rapid succession. You go and get a ton of subscribers because you've already got a relationship with people in one platform. You can just siphon them off into another type thing.
Right. Yeah. That's a good. I never even thought about that. That's well, with Frank Kern specifically,
Yeah. So now we're getting to some next level stuff. This is when you basically start building out your own little ecosystem of traffic, and you've got likes of say YouTube, for example, but then you've got Facebook, and then Facebook, there's even multiple touch points that you can have for your audience on Facebook alone. So, excuse me, sorry. If you think about it in this context, you've got your profile, and then you've got your group, and then you've got Facebook stories, and then you've got Facebook Messenger. Apologies, sorry, folks. So if you think about that, it's like a little quadrant. And so even for me, I don't put really much in the way of internet marketing related stuff on my stories. I usually just put memes and whatever. And it's not that I probably could have a lot more purpose behind my posting on the stories, but for me, it's just another touch point for my brand. And so if I put something out that is I think is amusing, then maybe, just maybe, people just have, okay, that's JB, and just another impression on my audience. So with that little quadrant, you got like this little ecosystem that you can keep throwing different offers and stuff to them. Sorry, give me a second. I'm just going to mute myself.
Yeah, I never even thought about that like that. So like with Facebook, you have multiple different, as you mentioned, different avenues of reaching out to your prospect, your stories and your, messenger, your group and everything like that. So it can really become like, a diverse, as you're saying, very different ways to actually interact with your potential audience.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's funny that you mentioned that, because when you said your stories, the first thing that I thought of was, I think you put one up that was like Pickless Cage or something, like a meme of.
Yeah, exactly. Like not exactly what you call like, affiliate marketing related stuff. But then, that was maybe 2 weeks ago or something. So it's memorable. There is a sense
Right, yeah.
of memorability. Is that a word? Let's make it up anyway. Let's call it memorability. It's a new word for Monday. Yeah. So it just, like I say, I could probably be a little bit more purposeful behind my posting on stories, but yeah, I think the social media is there to be social. So sometimes I just like having a bit of a joke. So it's kind of what I do.
Right. That's super important, is mixing in your own personal content or your personality and stuff like that. Make people feel connected with you. I think that's,
Yeah.
So what are your opinions on high ticket affiliate marketing versus, lower ticket affiliate products? Because I know, like, for me, when I first met you, textbook, I was literally blogging, chasing monthly recurring commissions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I probably still haven't made a single sale for my blog, but hey, that's another story.
Yeah. Blogging is, I still think blogging is great. I know some full-time bloggers and they do exceptionally well out of it. But it is a long-term game plan. And it's something that, and look, it all is. This is all business. Business is not like super linear, super easy all the time. But anyway, so I'm glad you asked. Right. So here's the thing. The massive question to consider is the lifetime value of your customer. And just, I'll use some very simple numbers here. So if you're selling something for like a high ticket product, you're making, let's say for argument's sake, you're making $1,000. Just keep it round. That means that the minimum lifetime customer value for that particular customer is $1,000. So the inherent problem with recurring products is a lot of people, want passive income, and I completely get that. But the problem is that let's be generous and say that as an affiliate, you're receiving, say, $50 a month for making a sale.
Right.
So that means that person has to remain with that product for 20 months, I think. No, 25 months. No, wait. 20 months. I worked in finance, but I suck at mathematics. It's ridiculous. Anyway, it was an ongoing joke. It was funny. We go out to dinner and like we've been dealing with these complex algos all day, and like billions of dollars in transactions, and then we couldn't work out like what's $100 divided by 4 between 4 people. Is it said split the bill? How do you, like, yeah. Anyway. Stupid ongoing gag, but so it means that someone would have to remain with that product or service or software or whatever for 20 months in order to equate to one high ticket sale, which is doable. There are outliers. I've got products that I promote way back in 2017 that are I've got those customers with me now, which is kind of cool. But that's the exception, not the rule. The majority of people, in my experience, are there for 3 to 5 months, and what that means is that you're having to wish and hope that they're going to actually come through and keep paying forever, basically, in order to have that passive income. There's going to be an inherent attrition rate when you're looking at that model. Having said that, there is also something else to consider, which is not everyone has the financial capacity to pay $2,000, $5,000, $20,000, $1,000, whatever it is, for the products and services that you're able to provide or promote. So then the question remains, like, well, how do you serve your audience? And the answer to that is you find different ways, and you find within your own brand, your own way of doing things, you find different ways to extract income from your audience. So I had just had my biggest month online in April, which was slightly over my February month, which was what was my biggest at that time. And the reality was that I've got a little workshop I'm promoting at the moment. I'm doing it tomorrow, but that's low tickets, $27. So that's one option there. I've also got my high ticket stuff. I've got SAA that I promote. I've got my own coaching that I promote. I have a bunch of little products out there that make random sales. I have affiliates that promote those products as well. So the point being is that, like, I think people get fixated on, I only do high ticket, but then they kind of forget that there is other ways you can serve your audience as well. And so if you're slightly I'm going to get really woo-woo here, but on an energetic basis, if you open yourself to the fact that not everyone is going to have the capacity to jump into $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 program, right, maybe you can help them. Maybe you can offer them something that does serve them at that level. The other thing to bear in mind, and this is, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here, but most people, traditionally speaking, most people come from a work/employment environment for the most part, right? As a generalization. So people come from a work environment. What happens is you're either on an hourly rate or you're salaried. And so if you're salaried, you get X amount per month. And so every fortnight or every week or every month or every quarter, whatever it is, bang, 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 you're going to get your salary. This is how much I earn. No matter how hard I work, I'm still going to get this amount. And so because of that anticipation and that expectancy and that frequency and that regularity of your income, when you try to do this stuff in the online world or business in general, and you've got like a huge month, and then you've got like not a huge month, and then you've got another big month, it creates this like panic, almost like a panic attack. Like, oh my God, did I fluke that? Oh my God. And so where I'm going with all this is that the truth of the matter is, especially when you're starting, and even, it doesn't really matter what level you get, unless you're running tons of paid ads, you're probably not going to make a high ticket sale every single day. And so right, a lot of the time, that lack of expectation of regularity of income can be very hard for people to deal with, self-included. I've had a lot of financial pressures historically, so I still get like kind of nervous, like, did I had a huge month? Oh my God, did I fluke that? Like, is my brand all gone? And so the reason why I mention that is because having like a low ticket product, it can serve you really well, because it creates that like regularity and frequency of like little abundant feelings, like, oh yes, made a $27 sale, yeah, awesome. Probably right, I'm not going to end up buying a property off a $27 sale, but it's actually, from an energetic basis, it just keeps that mojo flowing type thing. And so all of a sudden, for me, anytime I get kind of like, I told you it was going to be woo-woo, but anytime I get emotionally or energetically stuck and I'm like, oh, panic attack, am I actually going broke? I think, okay, what can I do to throw a low ticket offer out there? And if I can throw a $7, $10, anything, even anything at all, for me to remind myself that I can extract value from my audience at will, at whatever capacity that is. And if I am able to do that, then pretty shortly thereafter, it's kind of miraculous how it happens, but pretty shortly afterwards, I end up making a high ticket sale, because I think I'm tapping into a different frequency. And so that's my advice, is that don't be so pigeonholed into like your product, whatever it is, that you're not open to a $50 product, a $100 product, or a recurring. I'm not saying any of those are bad. Like, you can actually build up a portfolio over time. But yeah, having that openness is important. And I'll put a little caveat on that and say that as long as it doesn't distract you, if you're doing like, something that is, say, a high ticket affiliate marketing product, but then your low ticket product is like for weight loss, there's going to be an incongruence in your brand. So make sure it's congruent with what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, and what your overall branding is. So anyway, that was a bit of a rant, but hopefully it makes sense.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, that totally, actually, for me, that makes a ton of sense. Like, I feel like it's actually like something that I feel like super important to even touch on, is like you mentioned, you might be like feeling like things might not be working, and then you get a low ticket sale, And then it just helps you pick that momentum back up. And, that is something that a lot of people won't talk about, especially with high ticket. It's not like you are going to make a high ticket sale every day. But 100 sales a year would be 6 figures. So obviously, but I feel like as you're mentioning, you said woo woo a couple of times, but that's a big, your mindset,
100%.
feeling, that's a huge thing when it comes to this online space. So yeah. And like with the congruency, like you mentioned, just making sure that you're not promoting all over the place or scattered, different industries and things like that.
Yeah. Because I think, people talk about shiny object syndrome in this, and I think a lot of the time that comes back to a lack of trust in what they're doing being the right thing. And there's a sort of a phrase I've coined. Well, I think I've coined it. Maybe not, but I'm using it, and I'm claiming it anyway. I've got the copyrights to it, but I call it the pre-validation phase. And basically, what that is, it's like a lot of us go through this thing, and it's where, and I went through it for many years because I'm a slow learner apparently. But it's that thing where you jump into something and you take the training and you're diligently trying to apply it as best as you can, and you got doing this around your normal life and your family and all that sort of stuff, and your jobs and blah blah. And then you kind of get to this point where you're like, well, my expectation based on what I had perceived off the sales page and off the sales material was, it's been 3 weeks, I should be hitting, I don't know, I'm not greedy, like maybe 10 to 50K a month. I mean, that's kind of where I was sitting, like, 3 weeks later. And so because of these kind of false expectations that get built, because we're marketers and we know how to sell stuff, and so therefore that expectation, people jump into this going, oh yeah, sweet, I'm gonna hit X amount in X time. And so the problem with that approach though is that because you haven't internally validated, like, okay, if I go out there and if I do this thing and I create this funnel and I throw an ad at it and I do all this stuff, haven't validated whether it's actually legit, if it can actually work. So then you get so confused, like, oh, well, what do I do next? What's the thing that? And so then, of course, there's like this tall, handsome marketer that throws this email into your inbox, and it's like, oh, it's like a message from the netherworld, and you're like, oh my god, this is the golden ticket. This is it. Like, I'm this Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory. This is the one, my golden ticket. And so you feel like Charlie Bucket. In case you guys don't know, he's the little character of Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, and so you get your golden ticket and you think this is the thing, and so therefore all of a sudden you just start that cycle again. So instead of staying with one thing and just nailing that, you kind of, like, because of your mindset, like tricking you, not knowing if this is actually the right thing to be doing, because you get so confused. You're like, oh well, maybe this is the next thing. So what tends to happen is all you're doing is just pivoting 180 degrees and losing all that momentum most of the time. That's what I did for years. So I know from experience, do as I say, not as I do. What I was also going to comment on is your mindset is, like, we talk about it kind of almost in a dismissive way, because like it's stuff most people, like, I didn't want to put energy into it. If I rewound the clock, and let's assume this is 2011, I just started setting up blogs and stuff, and you say, hey, you need to work on your mindset. I'd be like, fuck you, man, no way, what is that? Let me give me the money and give me the tactics and what works, and then I'll fix my mindset later. I don't think my mindset's, I work hard and blah blah. And I didn't realize that it was me that the mindset training was designed for back then. Because I was, not that I was ignorant, I think most of us are like that. Like, yeah, look, I will fix that, but I've got to eat first. So give me a tactic that works, and I'll go make some money, and then I'll fix my mindset. When in reality, it's actually the other way around. If you don't have your mindset dialed in, all the tactics in the world don't mean anything really. So super important. Anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that for sure. That's something I both of those things really. I mean, shiny object syndrome, that's I couldn't tell you how many courses or programs I bought. But it was different when I bought SAA, because I actually, like, I would burn through a course as fast as possible, think I learned all this stuff, and then when it didn't work, I would be looking for a new course or a new opportunity to give me what I needed And I literally can't tell you how many times I fell asleep. Going to sound kind of weird, but listening to Jacob Karras's voice,
his dulcet tones, like slowly droning you to sleep.
Just consuming that course over and over and over again, even just until I understood the concepts, and then even after that, reaching out to other people who have had success from the program and figuring out and seeing what they were doing differently, and all sorts of different, actually trying to implement and actually learn a strategy versus think I learned a strategy, if that's the right wording. Which obviously I'm not, like, I haven't perfected it, but that's,
you're on
it's
your way,
all
though,
a
man.
learning process.
You're doing well. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's something that we hammer home to people is that, and like we could get so many more sales if we weren't like this, but we tell people like this shit is hard. Like, it's pull no punches. Like it's a marathon, not a sprint. It is hard. Like and if you're after just the easy cash stuff, then you probably don't want a business. You just want, like, I don't know, a risky investment, basically. And I think some people find that kind of refreshing. Other people are, like, obviously put off by it, because it's like, if you got two options, and one is saying, this is hard, and the failure rate's really high, and then on the other side you've got other people that are kind of like, oh, well, it's easy, I've got the done for you things, and all you need to do is plug everything in and do. That most people are attuned to go for the easy pathway, the path of least resistance type thing. But anyway,
right, and then I feel like you end up with a bunch of it's a better experience overall, because then you already have the preset expectations going into it versus getting resentments because you got told it was easy, or it was under the impression that it was going to be like push button, and then when it wasn't push button, you feel some type of way, or you're like upset.
And that's most marketers, like we self-included, like as I sort of alluded to before, you read a sales page, you're like, wow, I can do this. I think this might be the one. This is it. All right, get my wallet out. Let's go. It's gonna be amazing. And then you get inside, and it's like, wait a minute, I have to do some work. They tricked me. Oh, damn it. And that's the thing. I mean, this is business, but the thing that, and I can't stress this enough for anyone tuning in, is that if you can learn the fundamental stuff, which is how to build an audience, how to sell, how to craft content that gets inside the minds of your prospects, how to market yourself as a brand, it doesn't matter. Like, one of the sayings that I've been saying a little bit recently is, once you learn the how, as in how to set up your brand, the where you set it up doesn't matter. And so I think that if you can learn that stuff and understand, it's hard. Like, it is, like, pull no punches. This is work. It is business, and it's hard work. And it's more the mindset stuff that makes it hard, I think. But if you can learn that, and you understand why people buy and how you can impact them and how you can grow an audience, things like that, it kind of doesn't matter where you end up going. And the other thing is that it's such the amount of confidence that you have to go, holy shit, I just took a profile, like Facebook profile, and then I worked my butt off for like X number of days in a row to do the thing, and then I made a sale. And so you've literally just created, there was nothing there before, and then you've just created an audience and you've sold to that audience. Like, that's something that will feed you for life. Like, it is phenomenal. But yeah, it is hard.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
So I was just on a random rant. It's fine.
So I heard the gist of, talking about, actually dedicating and putting in effort. And that's a big thing, is, I remember a quote I heard one time, and that's our job as a marketer. I mean, if you literally created an ad and you said, hey, are you ready to dedicate the next 6 months to build a business? Nobody's going to want to buy that course. I mean, in reality.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I usually do like to wrap these up around 45 minutes, but I do want to give you an opportunity to, you did mention that you have a workshop. If you want to tell everyone a little bit more about, like, where people could get in contact with you, or what type of trainings or things that you provide. Let's definitely go over some of that.
Um, the floor is all yours, sir. Yeah, look, my main jam is AA. So if anyone's interested in learning more about what we're up to in there, like I say, it's one of those things where our student results speak for themselves. The support speaks for itself. Like it's, of course, I'm incredibly biased, but it is a great program. Like I haven't seen much else out there that has that. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please hit up Nate, reach out to him and just have a chat. We're not scary. Like we have sales processes, of course, but we don't believe in high pressure tactics. So if it's not the right pathway, then don't stress. But reach out to Nate, and he'll be able to hook you up with some mad deals. That's pretty much it, man. Shit, is he stonewalling me? Is he still there? Hello? I don't know if he's still here or not. I don't even know if I'm still live. I'm just going to sip my coffee.
What is going on with my internet today? It's not liking me today, apparently.
Brilliant. The screen blanked out and I was like talking. I'm like, over to you, Nate.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys made it all the way to the end of this interview, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, Jamie. I definitely appreciate you coming on and taking the time to be here with us. You do have a Facebook group, anything like that? What do you want to tell us a little bit about this workshop you're doing? I know you did say that it's a deadline for tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's going to be two live workshops. I just saw Kevin's name pop up in the comments there, thinking I'm tricking you with doing a pre-recorded workshop. No way, man. Yeah, so I'm doing two live workshops tomorrow, basically running through the overarching stuff in my business, and also going through some kind of ninja tactics that I use to elicit funds from my audience. Man, that sounded so dodgy. Yeah, man. But yeah, that's what I got on at the moment. If you're interested in learning that, I can leave a link or something. But yeah, that's the go at the moment. It's gonna be
if you definitely want to put a couple links, maybe in the beginning of the interview, so that way people who are just jumping in could maybe see that. And then I think we'll wrap it up. And I appreciate you jumping on with us. Sorry for all the internet connections problems, but
it's all right. Just got to roll with it sometimes, man. It's just, welcome to Business 101, right?
Right.
Things are never linear.
So for everyone that has joined us, I appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Thanks so much for having me, man. Appreciate it.
All righty.
Thanks, guys. See ya.